Good morning. Well, is my volume on? Yes, my volume is on. Good morning. Welcome to Crazy Joe's Concession Stand. It is Thursday the 13th at about 10 p.m. here on the East Coast. And I need to talk about Picard. Picard Season 3, Episode 9, Vox. And I invited a couple people who've also seen the episode. Hopefully, they can join because I I need to I need some enlightenment here. I feel like Picard season 3 has so far been really good. And it seems like they just kind of um, shit the proverbial bed in terms of continuity with this latest episode. And I'm very confused. My wife was very confused. We both sat there, we watched the episode, we paused it multiple times, and we're going, huh? What? What? Huh? And then when the episode was done, we went and we put on the last 15 minutes or so of the season 2 finale, Farewell, to see if there was something we missed, and it didn't help. It just felt like the episode of Picard that just aired, and there will be spoilers here. If you've be warned, we are going to talk about Picard episode 9, Vox, the episode that just went live today. So if you haven't seen the episode yet, I'm going to be talking about it. But it really seemed to fly in the face of what we've already seen from this series in season 2. This episode seemed to just pretty much ignore the events of the second season finale, which you can't do that. Like you can't just ignore an episode of your own series that was just 9 episodes prior. Uh, it was just 9 episodes of Picard ago that Farewell happened. And, spoiler alert for season 2 of Picard, spoiler alert for episode 9 of season 3 of Picard. But we find out that the antagonists all season, the who's behind the door, we've been wondering, who's behind the door? Well, it's the Borg. It's the Borg, and Jack Crusher has been passed on some kind of uh, Borg, some kind of organic Borg technology that was passed on to Locutus, and Locutus passed it on to him. And he's now under the thrall of the Borg Queen. And we hear the voice of the Borg Queen. We never actually, we see her from the back, but we don't actually see the face of the Borg Queen. But we see the Borg Queen from the back, and it's the voice of Alice Krige. Alice Krige, who played the Borg Queen in Star Trek First Contact and one episode of Star Trek Voyager. Most of the time on Voyager, the role was played by Susanna Thompson. Alice Krige came back for I think it was the series finale of Voyager. It's the only time we saw Krige as the Borg Queen on Voyager. Okay, all right, that's all well and good. If it weren't for season 2, because season 2 of Picard ended with the character of Girardi becoming the new Borg Queen. Girardi became the Borg Queen, and season 2 ended with a truce between the Borg and Girardi as the new Borg Queen even asks, "Can we join Starfleet? Or can we join the Federation? We'd like to join the Federation." And we're told that this is a whole new. The Borg's changed completely because Girardi is now the Borg Queen, and she even saves them at the end of the episode. So when we get to this reveal that it's the Borg, my wife and I are sitting there watching the episode, and we're like, "Well, no big deal. They're friends with the Borg now. This isn't a problem. The Borg Queen is literally their friend. It's Girardi. She's the Borg Queen, and no mention of that. These are events that just happened 9 episodes ago on this series. I mean, this isn't some obscure bit of Star Trek continuity from 20 years ago. Uh, this was 9 episodes ago on this series. So we start, we watched the end of Farewell, which was the second season finale. We're like, did we miss something? Doesn't appear we did. I mean, Girardi as the Borg Queen says we want to join the Borg. We want to join the Federation. That's where we left the Borg. And then this episode comes along. Well, the Borg haven't been seen in years. Not even a mention. Picard doesn't even mention Girardi's name once. What kind of continuity is that? I mean, this season has been so good. This season has been so good. It's been pulling characters from the past. We've been bringing back characters left and right, like Shelby was back this episode. We saw Tuvok back. Well, sort of. We saw Tuvok back. We saw Laren popped in. This show has been really, really entrenched in the continuity of Star Trek, and it's been beautiful to watch. And then suddenly we get this episode, which just seems to throw the continuity of this very series out the airlock. Now, Christine and I started doing some research, and some people suggested, well, maybe it's because Girardi's Borg was from an alternate timeline. Okay, but they're still out there. Wouldn't they come to the rescue? Like they're Borg too. Wouldn't they sense, there's a Borg problem. We should come in and help. There's not even a mention of them. What's going on? What happened in this? Like, I'm sitting there like, this would be a perfectly fine episode if we didn't get the episode last year. Hang on one second. Let me I have a couple friends trying to join the party, and unfortunately the link isn't working. Let me get them a new link. So anyone in the chat who's watched this week's episode of Picard, I welcome any feedback here, because I don't know what's going on. I mean, Christine and I, my wife, we're both baffled by this. We're both like, what is this? What is like, what about Girardi? Aren't they friends with the Borg now? Chuck Tomasi's here. Chuck Tomasi from The Topic is Trek. Welcome, Chuck.
Speaking of friends of the Borg.
So you're fresh from watching the episode too, right?
Like, I just finished it like 2 minutes ago. Yeah.
Were you yelling at the screen the whole time like we were?
In parts, yes. In parts, there were a couple like, wait. I don't know. Are we allowed to do any spoilers here? Or
well, I put spoiler alert real big on the icon, okay. So if people have been warned.
The one that made me jump out of my seat was when they said, the Borg, we haven't heard from them in a decade or more. I said, hello, season 2?
Borg, we haven't heard from them in 9 episodes.
I'm like, what? What a short memory some of these writers have, isn't it? That was my biggest. Wait, what did they just say? Yeah.
Now, Christine Googled it, and she found an article that said, well, Girardi's Borg is from an alternate timeline.
It's still Borg. She's queen. What part of Borg don't you understand?
I know. Supercell Chaser says exactly season 2. Ah.
That was my biggest.
And
Wow.
the other thing, we went back and we put on the final 15 minutes of farewell to see if we missed something.
I was
And
I was a little sad that the internet was right. Yeah, because we up until this point, people were theorizing, what's wrong with Jack? What are his powers? He's communicating. Maybe he's part Borg that he got from Locutus. And I went, I really hope that's not right. I really, really hope that's not right. And then they kind of did the reveal, and they open the door and there's a Borg cube. Like, damn it.
I mean, to be fair though, I think that's the only thing that would have made sense. Like, because people were also saying,
It don't make too much sense though.
people were like, oh, his eyes turned red. Maybe he's a paw wraith. And it's like, well,
I heard that as well.
What would the paw wraith have to do with Crusher or Picard? Like they never were involved with that. Like, that would have been out of left field. But I don't know. This season's been so good, and I just feel like they just. I mean, as Star Trek fans, we complain about continuity all the time, and they got. But this is so blatant.
There are points that I absolutely love. I mean, seeing the bridge of the D, all I can think of is those poor set designers. To reconstruct all that really accurately, because I did have a freeze frame moment in this episode when they were showing the whole fleet on the screen. They were all red, meaning everything's bad. Because, we learned that from Data's brain. The blue lights are good. The red lights are bad. And
Devin
I was looking at the names as closely as possible. And some of the crew really took some liberties. They went, let's throw in the USS Drexler. No. Okay, there were some gratuitous grabs in there. Hey, Devin.
Welcome, Devin.
How y'all doing?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm great. You know what? The funny thing is, I clicked on the wrong link because I was going to talk Star Trek with Brian, but I will gladly talk Star Trek with you guys too.
I didn't know Brian was talking Star Trek. I actually sent Brian the link here too. I didn't see that he was.
Yeah, he actually, because Max famously late. He started Max's Stream Forum by talking Star Trek. So I was like, you know what? I need to talk about this episode too.
And our show won't be out until 10 is out. So we record every other week. So we'll be right after 10 comes out.
Okay, cool.
So you watched the episode 9 of Picard?
I did.
What are your thoughts on the Borg? Yeah, I don't know if you've been watching, but we're saying, what the heck? Season 2. Girardi became the Borg Queen.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought. The
first from him in 10 years. Like, wow, this show must really be moving that slowly.
Yeah. The first thing I thought when the Borg Queen popped up was, I was like, wait, is that the Doctor, or is this something new? Like, did they retcon that? Or
I was hoping they would bring that back, but that would really confuse the issue of not hearing them from in 10 years. They'd have to go.
Yeah.
So yeah, I actually the way that they've tied the changelings to the Borg, I don't even know if it had to be the changelings to do that as their agents, but I like bringing two of the strongest nemesises in the Star Trek verse together, and like, so that was very creative on the writer's part. I will give them credit for. Let's see, what if we got the Borg and the changelings together? How would we do that? So I think they did a good job on that.
Well, I know back in the 90s, we always used to ask, could a changeling, could the Borg assimilate a changeling, or would the nanoprobes just like...
They'd leak out.
Yeah, exactly.
We can't attach to anything. We're just swimming around.
Well, it was very interesting that they incorporated, so... It was very TNG in how they had to describe exactly how the changelings used Picard's body, because Picard had kind of evolved from his prior assimilation of the Borg and all of that sort of stuff.
DNA into the transporter.
So
you guys have all been transporting. What the heck? And about
and it's
5 minutes later, they go, no, you have to be under 25. We're going, wow, this is kind of Logan's Run, isn't it? The kids are taking over.
Yeah, well, it's it's kind of like maybe a reverse Logan's Run, or I don't know how you would classify that.
You got to kill the old people. That.
I guess so.
There were a couple of comical lines that I loved. One was, Troy saying, "I've never been happier to see more wrinkles." And the other one I thought was when Data would I hope we die quickly.
Yeah. That was a good one.
Those are
Yeah.
some laugh out loud moments for me anyway.
I noticed something else though, because Christine and I went back. We watched the finale of the last 15 minutes of the season 2 finale, and season 2, Q brought Elnor back from the dead because Elnor was dead, and then Q changed the timeline, and Elnor was back, and we end it with Elnor on the bridge of the Excelsior. And we just saw the Excelsior get destroyed tonight. And I said to Christine, did they just kill Elnor again?
You bastards!
Yeah, I got the sense that this season of Picard is all about just kind of like, those first 2 seasons didn't happen. Those first 2 seasons, just forget about it. We're starting from season 3 onward.
Well, we had to get Picard his artificial body to make this storyline work.
That's true. But other than that, like a lot of the other stuff is like, what happened with Elron or whatever? Is it what is his name?
Elnor.
Elron. I'm thinking of Lord of the Rings.
I'm thinking he probably got a transfer to another ship before they blew up the Excelsior.
He can't join us. He's logging off for the night. But Clinton. Clinton from the Topicus Trek, his last message was logging off now. Brain hurts. So
Brain hurts.
I think this episode hurt him too. I don't know, man. I think it's a great episode if this was season 1, but it's like I don't think you could just ignore a plot point from the previous season, a major plot point.
That hurt.
I'm 1,000% on board with it. I'm okay. I'm okay with it. Like because the episode was really like a big nostalgia thing. Like it was all about like they pretty much said we don't really care about all that other stuff. This is the Enterprise. They're turning on the lights. It almost kind of looked like the documentary, like the captain's documentary or whatever, and they're talking about like the ships and whatnot. Like it was just steeped in nostalgia. And I was perfectly happy.
Now, do you want to look forward and prognosticate about what the last episode ever is going to be about? How are they going to get out of this pickle?
That's the big question. Well, maybe Girardi comes to the rescue.
Oh, that would be weak. No, I think that scene with Beverly and Jean-Luc when he said he got the best of you and the worst of me. The best of her is going to come through and he's going to like demagnetize the Borg and all the kids will be set free. That's my idea.
It would, I guess it almost kind of has to be that way. Cause like when the episode was ending, I was like, wait, they're going to Earth? What are they going to do? There's like 1 million Federation starships that are all under Borg control. Like they don't really have a plan. They were just heading back into the fray. Like, so I'm not really sure what their intention is. I can't even begin to speculate, but it would have to be, Picard's son in some way overpowering the Borg Queen or tricking her or doing something.
He's the key. He got him into this. He's going to get him out of it. And he may even have to sacrifice himself in doing so.
Do you think Wesley shows up?
No.
I
think Will Wheaton's pretty much said he's not in this at all.
That's true, but Andrew Garfield also swore up and down he wasn't in the last Spider-Man movie. So.
Well, he had his cameo already in the last season, though. Like
true.
Or was it the first season? I think it was the
no. He was in the finale. He was last year. Yeah.
Okay. I gotta say, Elizabeth Dennehy, who plays Shelby, I did not recognize her until they said her name, and I rewound it and went, "Oh, okay." Well, how old is this actress now? I'm looking real quick as I poke around.
I have to ask you guys.
62 and a half.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Because I thought she was pretty cute and hot when she was, in Best of Both Worlds.
I have to ask you guys, like, what are your thoughts on Captain Shaw?
I'm gonna miss him. I was just getting to like him. That was a terrible death scene, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I desperately wanted a Shaw spinoff. Like they kept talking about Star Trek Legacy. I was hoping that Shaw's the captain of that.
Yeah.
I was incredibly bummed. Like it was the first as much as I like season 3, none of the episodes really gave me that moment of like gut punch impact until that happened, and then I was just mad, and I was like, "Oh, come on! They're getting rid of this guy now. Like, this sucks. Like, he's a great character. I liked him as soon as he showed up. He was a big dick to Picard
At
and
first he was a
Riker.
love to hate character. You love to hate
Yeah,
him, but then he started like, okay, and he had some great one-liners.
great
And
one-liners.
once you pulled back that veil of why is he so crabby and he hates Picard, when they revealed that, it's like, okay, now I get it. He's got a reason for this angst. But then he started coming around. I will say that Todd Stashwick is okay. I saw him on the Star Trek cruise. So this was filmed about a year ago. He was fine as of March 3rd when I last saw him. We did karaoke together. He does a great job of Come Sail Away by Styx. Just saying.
Nice.
Yeah, he did a massively great job with that song.
I knew that the season was going to end with him calling her Seven. Like, I'm like, oh, Shaw's going to call her Seven at the end of the season. But I didn't realize it was going to be right before he died.
Well, and he did. The ship is yours. Like, what am I supposed to do with a ship full of Borg kids?
Yeah, what a great parting gift.
And for a wedding present, I'll give you a flat tire. What do you?
Yeah, seriously.
There's your spinoff, Seven and the Borg Kids. She does have a history of raising Borg kids. So.
Yeah, each have.
Yeah.
It was full of twists, and oh man, I just wish that one miss wasn't in there. I would have given it a much higher rating.
Yeah. I mean, even just a line of dialogue. Say something. Just say, oh, what about Girardi's Borg? Oh, well, that's a subsection of the Borg. They're, it's something.
There are friends. These are the bad Borg. She's a good Borg. Whatever.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are there Borg sex? Like, it would like there's like a different type of Borg a sect that is at war with the other kind of Borg, because are they gonna come to the rescue? Is this like a
versus the Protestants or something?
Yeah, that would be strange. It would be interesting, but it would be strange.
I really like. Not if we assimilate you first.
Now, wait a minute. If they said, "Oh, Locutus was like a receiver of the Borg signal, and Jack is a transmitter," how was he hearing anything? I guess all he could hear was the Borg Queen when you get down to it. So that was a little mystifying. Like, if all you are is a transmitter, where's the voice coming from?
Well, I guess all Borg can hear the Queen, even
I
though
suppose you'd have to.
Yeah. So I guess it would be something. It would work kind of in that way, almost like a weird permissions grant.
I had two songs stuck in my head this whole season. One is from A Nightmare Before Christmas. I was thinking, something's up with Jack. Something's up with Jack. The other one is, of course, I see a red door and I want to paint it black.
Great, two great song opportunities for needle drops in this season that they didn't hit on.
Maybe they couldn't get the licensing. I don't know.
Maybe.
But Craig Stepp, friend of ours, did tweet Terry Metalis and said, "Hey, how about a soundtrack? Because the music in this, you hear the Klingon theme and you hear the Voyager theme and you hear it was off the wall." And Terry basically said, "Yep, stay tuned." So hopefully we'll have a really decent soundtrack for this episode or for this series, or if not just this season.
Awesome. I wanted to point out something to you, Chuck. I've been listening to your Topic is Trek reviews of these episodes, and I didn't realize this myself. Like, this I think we all missed this, but I read it in an article, and I'm like, oh, the name of the planet, Metalis Prime.
Yes,
Terry Metalis did not name the planet after himself. He was an intern on Enterprise. And the writers named that planet back on Enterprise, making fun of him. They were like, "Oh yeah, Metalis Prime. It's like the shittiest place in the galaxy." Like that. Like talked about how nobody wants to go to. And they were basically busting on him. So this was like him getting his revenge. Like, oh, okay, I'm bringing it back.
Did he mention that? Did he say that on Gates McFadden's podcast?
I don't know. I read it like I didn't. I didn't hear him.
Oh,
I
okay.
read it somewhere. I like it was like an article or an
The
interview.
interview with him just came out a couple days ago. Gates has a podcast called Investigates. Who do you think you are? Investigates. And she's been talking. She's on season 2. She's been talking to a lot of great people. She talked to Brent. She talked to Marina. She talked to. She had 2 episodes with Will. And this last one was with Terry. And she doesn't just interview them about the shows. She goes into like corners of their lives. Tell me about your favorite, your first toy as a child. It's like, that's intriguing. Where will this lead us in the discussion? So I just listened to that this morning. That's interesting. I didn't know that, but I thought the naming of the ships. What did I see? I saw the. I mentioned the Drexler. There was an Akuta, and there was one more that
There was the Hikaru Sulu was one.
Oh, was it on there? I didn't.
Yeah,
I
and oddly enough, the Hikaru
enough.
Sulu was, I believe, the ship that destroyed the Excelsior. So,
well, that's ironic since he was the captain of the Excelsior.
And okay, and here's the other big question: what the heck did Worf do to the Enterprise E?
I had to go through my brain. The E crashed into the Scimitar, and then was it?
Well, it wasn't destroyed though. I mean, it
Right,
survived.
right? Because they said we certainly can't use the E. And they rolled out the F. I'm not sure I like the aesthetics on the F. It looked fat.
I thought the D was the fat one.
Well, that's what the joke was earlier in the season is, nobody likes the fat ships. I thought, well, this certainly does go in that direction. What happened to the E? I was trying to remember that too, and somebody's probably going to shout.
Well, I don't think they ever told us. Like, I think it's like something they just put out there because the E was fine at the end of Nemesis.
You got to give credit to Geordi for his restoration projects, though. I thought fixing up a 57 Ford was hard. It's like, well, the nacelles, they came from this ship, and
that's like a whole other Star Trek show in and of itself. It's like it's like that American Chopper, only with Geordi trying to fix up these starships.
Welcome to Starship Destroyers Restorers.
Yeah, they could do like a spin-off like Jay Leno's Garage with Geordi.
yeah, exactly.
Has anybody seen a flux capacitor? There's no flux capacitors on this show.
Yeah, but Doc was on that other space show last week though, so
I got you covered, Geordi. A couple isolinear chips right here.
So I guess we're going with the I don't know. I guess we're going with the theory that they either chose to ignore season 2 or they forgot about it.
How do you do fireworks in space?
That's a good
question.
I
thought about that too. I was like, at a certain point, I was just like, I'm going with it. I don't care. I don't care what doesn't make sense. Girardi's not the war queen. They're firing fireworks in space. I'm for it. You already got me.
Right. Fire needed 3 things: oxygen, not in space. Heat, not in space. Now, you could say these are plasma or chemical or something. Okay, but to get the different colors, to get them expand. Granted, it is the 24th, maybe closer to the 25th century by this point. How do you do fireworks in space?
You also need gravity so that the particles can fall after they explode. Otherwise, they would just kind of explode and just kind of
they were going into
infinitely.
I didn't see them, trying to be affected by any kind of gravity. They did just.
Did they go off into a sphere? Okay, so it was at least adhering to that.
Yeah, they were big like balls of sparks.
Okay.
And then they would go out after a time. So whatever you're burning or your fuel has to expire. I'm getting way too deep into that.
I mean, it's possible they weren't real fireworks. Brian has joined us.
It was all CG. Just repeat to yourself. It's just a show. You should really just relax.
I heard we were talking some Star Trek.
We were, and Devin told me you were talking Star Trek over on Max's show. I saw Guardians of the Galaxy on the thumbnail, and I'm like, I gotta talk Star Trek right
now. No, that's why I told Max. I woke him up. I called him about 6:20 my time. I called him. I said, Max, you better. I'm gonna take over your show until you
Yeah,
get it.
I think if you wanted to start a podcast now, it'd be called 99 Delta. That'd be a great name for a podcast or band. It's the
Very much
maintenance
so.
channel.
My Star Trek go-to band name has always been the Vedic Assembly. I always said if I was gonna. So Brian, we were talking about the Borg Queen and the fact that season 2 ended with Girardi as the Borg Queen. So the whole episode, my wife and I are going, "Oh, it's the Borg. No big deal. They're our friends now."
No.
And then-
No, if you recall back to the episode where they're in the holodeck and Shaw comes in and he's talking about what happened at Wolf 359 and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There's 2 different Borg. There's
So
a
there are
Girardi
different
Borg.
sects.
Protestants.
No. There's a it's the time. It's different because of time travel. Okay, the queen from that universe was from the alternate universe, so they went back in time and changed the other universe, and then went forward in some convoluted way. Now we have 2 different queens, 2 different hives,
Wait.
I suppose.
So
Oh, okay. So there's the Freddie Mercury one and the Adam Lambert one.
There you go, perfect, best way. It's Queen and Queen Plus with a question.
wait,
mark
do they
followed
do
by-
they both exist in the same universe?
Yes, they do.
and
And
the
that's
Girardi
fascinating.
Borg asked to join the Federation.
Yes.
Yeah. No, the thing that it was like, no, Shaw said it. It was like, it's not what happened on the Stargazer with the junk. The real Borg are still out there. And that's
Did he actually say that?
Absolutely.
Okay. Oh, I got to go back and
almost
track that
almost
down.
word for word when he's
Okay.
sitting there telling Picard and Jack what happened at Wolf 359. And he's kind of getting in his face. It's like, it's your fault that I had to watch my family die and stuff like this. And it was like, oh Jesus, man.
Go
Yeah.
talk to Cisco.
I remember
Right?
that.
Right?
I remember that scene. I don't remember those words, but okay. So they did at least address Girardi at some point in this
Yes,
season.
yes. They addressed
Okay.
what happened on the Stargazer the season before.
Okay.
And they
But
clearly
it-
distinguished that there are 2 different collectives.
It does feel like she should show up, though. Like, I mean,
Right.
if there's good Borg out there and the bad Borg are attacking, wouldn't the good Borg be
Yeah.
like,
But no, here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. If they did that, here's how I feel it. It would probably end up the same way that the end of season 2 ended up, where it was like this little wink, wink into the camera, where she's just kind of or says that their commonly expressed phrase. I don't remember what it was, but I don't know. I was just on
Yeah.
cloud 9 seeing the D and all of its glory.
Oh yeah, there
absolutely.
was definitely
The
some
carpeted
high
floors and the bright lights and Data loving his chair. Worf remembering how to fire torpedoes.
as
No,
soon
I
as
just-
Geordi said, "I have a surprise for you," my wife goes, "What ship's it going to be? Do you think?" I go, "It's got to be the D." There's
I was
gotta
thinking it might have even been the TOS, but that might have been a little too clunky. Actually, no, they couldn't get that one back.
No, that one was
crashed
destroyed
into
over
Genesis,
Genesis.
right.
Yeah,
Well, hey, they pulled the D saucer section out of Viridian 3.
true.
And how do you space crane something like that up? Again, I'm going too
Bit by
far.
bit.
Come on, Dr.
Tractor beams.
Aaron McDonald, you need to get in here. with some
Lots of
physics.
shuttlecrafts.
But they did say at the end of Generations that they had to like remove, like they did show them like trying to clean up the D or get the D out of there because Prime
the
Directive.
prime directive. Yeah,
Yeah.
it makes sense. It's like, why would you
And-
leave it there? It doesn't make sense. You don't leave technology on a planet like that.
Crossover to never do it.
Trey Needham said, "Yeah, what Star Trek crossover do we never want?" I don't know.
Can we
I mean,
make
that-
one up? I mean, there are some that are physical.
That could be so many different crossover. I mean, you could say Star Trek and Captain Crunch, like, which that could end up being cool. Who knows? Like, I have no
Well,
clue.
that's how we were crossing over. Kind of like what's coming up is Lower Decks and
Strange New World.
Strange New
World,
World.
yeah.
Oh,
Right.
okay. I've still not watched Lower Decks yet.
Oh,
It's
it's for the deep Trek
Yeah.
nerds. It's a cartoon and it is very funny. And
That's what I hear. I guess I need to get on that after Picard ends.
I'd love to know if that show is accessible at all to non-Star Trek fans, because I have a friend who's a big Rick and Morty fan. He's never watched Star Trek, and he's like, I kind of want to watch it since it's the same guy that wrote for Rick and Morty. And I'm like, I
Right.
don't know if you're going to get the jokes.
Well, I think they probably get some. It's probably like The Simpsons. You know, the kids think it's funny, but adults get the humor.
True.
So it might be like that. That there is some layer in there that non-Star Trek people would appreciate from a storytelling perspective, but it's the deep Star Trek fans that go, I see what you did there. Let's crank call Armus. You know, it's like, yeah, I know where you're going.
Yeah, I think that definitely would be a hard way for an entry point for a non-fan, just because it's so.
No,
many
I wouldn't bring him in.
There's so
that
many
way.
references. I would say Prodigy. Honestly, if you're trying to get somebody into Star Trek right now that's fresh, introduce them to Prodigy. I think it's made for Nickelodeon, so it's targeted at the younger audience. And I know, yes, it is a kids show, but it's actually got a lot of heart to it.
Yep.
I've really enjoyed Prodigy thus far, and the fact they brought Kate Mulgrew back, they brought Robert Beltran back. I'm imagining they're going to bring more characters from Voyager
Robert
back.
Picardo.
Right? Please, can we get the holographic Doctor, please?
They did
Holodoc is
explain.
my favorite.
That was the first time I
Right?
ever heard anybody explain what's the difference between the Federation and Starfleet. Like, they said it in real words.
Yep.
Like, wow, good. Now we can, put a pin in that map.
Yeah, that was a heck of a good season. The only thing that drove me crazy is what's the character's name? The main character,
So
Dal. He shouldn't be the captain. Like all season, I kept saying they got to make Gwen the captain. Gwen's so much
I
smarter
feel like
than
Gwen
Dal.
would be the captain. He would be more the first officer type thing.
but I think that was part of the learning and growth journey that he went on.
True.
And then we found out what he really was, and that affected him in a different way. So he had to fight through that to finish the mission, kind of thing. So I liked where they took him.
Good season, really good. I can't
Yeah.
wait to see where that goes next season.
Brian, I have to ask you though, with respects to Picard season 3, the last episode. What are your thoughts on Captain Shaw?
Okay, see, I think I'm going to be like everyone else. At first, I was like, "Who the hell is this guy? Why is he talking to my boys like this? What they do? Come on now!" And then at first, and then he kind of went with the interaction between 7 and 9 and how he made her change her name from 7 to Annika, and that's where it's like, oh, okay, he has some history with the Borg. If it's either Wolf 359 or the encounter for First Contact, with that fleet mission, depending on how things lined up, but it turned out to be Wolf 359, and you actually had sympathy for him. The fans loved him. He was so open. Todd Stashworth, the actor, was so happy to be a part of Star Trek that he opened his life up to Star Trek fans and was like, guys, what do you want to know? Let's talk.
And the fans accepted him like that. He was very appreciative of that. He said that numerous times on the Star Trek cruise a couple months ago. He said, "You guys have welcomed me like nothing before." It was just, he was so appreciative.
Oh man. Now, so that alone,
funny. He is funny in real life.
I hope he's not dead. I hope they pulled some kind of Khan's Magic Blood 7 of 9
resurrection
thing.
Yeah,
they did in Voyager, remember? So I don't know, man. I think I'm just sad to see him go, but the tears that came out of me afterwards were that of complete and total joy. I mean, the highlight of my day today, and today was a great day, was just watching other people's reviews. Like, even people who were really, really negative about Star Trek, like Anna, that Star Wars girl, was like crying on her own stream or on her own video about how much she just loved it. It was so crazy to see other people enjoy this stuff. Right?
That's
just following the rules.
That's exactly why I liked him. I liked the fact that he was just like a ruthless dickhead to Picard and Riker. I was like, oh, this guy's awesome. It's a totally different character archetype. Like, I liked, and he did a fantastic job portraying like that role, like having that snark that sort of fake
Yeah.
the fake reverence for Picard and Riker's like, you know, history and all of that.
Well, it was right up to the end too. He says we have to go to the Sol system. Of course we do. We
Yeah,
have no other
right up
choice.
to the
Of course we don't.
but it makes perfect sense because like he portrayed excellently that the one thing that was at the top of his list was keeping his crew safe. And of course, everything Picard and Riker and that whole crew does is the opposite of keeping anyone safe. They're the first to put people's lives in danger. That's what always weirded me out about TNG is it's like, why are there so many kids on this ship? Like they're in the worst danger day after day. Like they got to drop these kids off somewhere. This can't be healthy.
Yeah, that's what
True.
Earth's for.
When your child starts imitating Data, you have a problem.
Just a smidge, just a smidge. Oh man, but no, it was just a glorious day. All Star Trek happiness.
And there's still one more.
There's just one more.
I know.
There's just one more.
Yeah, this is that weird, excited but melancholy. It's like, no, then it'll be over. We have
This
to
is
wait
remind you of the
before we
90s.
get 2 episodes.
Except you,
I mean-
except you didn't have to wait like 2 months for that 2-parter to, or for Majel Barrett's voice to be like, last time on Star Trek: The Next Generation.
So who did the voice on the D? Did they get clips from Majel or?
Oh, absolutely, that was Majel's voice.
Okay, they must have resurrected that from the archive somewhere.
Oh,
I did
they
like
have
his
had
field
to.
demo. I like Jean-Luc's. I guess I'll accept a field demotion.
Right?
There's no way Majel could have said Admiral Picard.
Right? Well, no,
But-
because she wouldn't have known. The computer wouldn't have known because it was still decommissioned since he was a captain. So, like,
Yeah.
dang.
They aren't on the network, so it doesn't get the updates.
I mean, yes, don't get me wrong. It is very Battlestar Galactica, but like, I'm
Let's go
thoroughly
get the
enjoying
old
this.
relic out of mothballs and save the universe.
I mean, they're literally like, "Hey, keep the Wi-Fi off. Don't turn the Wi-Fi on. As soon as it's on the network, those hackers are gonna get in here. Keep the Wi-Fi off, and we'll be
The
cool."
Cylons are coming, dude.
The Borgs are the Cylons, and they have a plan.
Yep.
Now I gotta wonder. We talked briefly. Chuck, you mentioned something about the set designers. Do you think they had to go back and rebuild the Enterprise D sets, or do you think
They
the
may have
original?
scavenged parts from the Star Trek Experience, but that was 15 years ago.
And
They-
I think
they
the
built that
original
from scratch,
sets.
from what
I think
heard,
the
right?
original sets
would make
ended
sense.
up in a museum somewhere, though. Like I think there was like a Hollywood. I think there's a museum in Hollywood that has like the Cheers set. Like I think the Next Generation
Cheers-
set had ended up in there.
but they've been
I
known
thought
to
they had
take things out
auctioned
of-
parts of that set off.
Mhm.
possibly.
They
But
had a
they've been known
documentary
to
about
take
that.
things out of museums before when
It was-
they were filming In a Mirror Darkly on Enterprise. Instead of Zephyr Cochrane going, "Hey, shake your hand, Vulcan," he shoots him. They had to get his
Yeah.
outfit out of the glass case at the Star Trek Experience in Las Vegas so they could go film this, and then they put it back.
And didn't they shoot that episode at Ticonderoga, New York, for the Enterprise sets for the Defiant? Like I thought that they had gone all the way to James Cawley's sets to shoot that episode.
I don't know. But it wouldn't be surprise me if they got pieces of it. But it also wouldn't surprise me based on the budget of this show that they just said, rebuild it. We've got enough footage that we can get it pretty close. I feel for those guys because all us nerds are looking at it really closely.
Well,
Oh,
the
yeah.
thing about it that's great is that they brought back Michael Okuda to
Yeah.
do that.
Really?
Yeah. Everything. Like
He probably has
great
all
thing
the
about it was-
diagrams and documentation for it anyway. So if you want 100%,
he wrote the book
accuracy,
on
he's
it,
the man.
literally. Like,
Yeah.
the encyclopedia, the technical manual. I mean,
There's a
dude, I
reason
still
they
have-
call those
I wish I had
graphics
it.
Okudagrams.
Mhm.
He's it.
Yep. And no, the first thing they did is they reached out to people like that. They brought back John Eves for Starship Design. A bunch of people. I've been watching like the ready rooms that take place afterwards, after the shows, a bunch. So just because I'm curious. I mean, yes, Will Wheaton can be a little cringe, but
I like him.
oh, he's all right. He's all right. It's just sometimes.
I share a common interest with him. When he was on Gates McFadden's podcast, she said, "What's your favorite
nice.
board game?" And he said, "It's a very obscure game that probably nobody's ever heard of called the Mad Magazine game." And I went, "I've got that." So, dude, if you're ever going on the Star Trek cruise again, I'm bringing it and we're playing.
There you go.
I own the Mad Magazine game because of you, Chuck, because you talked about it on Technorama, and I found it at a garage sale. And I'm like, oh, Chuck said this game is great.
Mine looks like it's from a garage sale instead of the regular pieces, which I don't even know what they are anymore. It's got like a bent up Pepsi cap, a piece from Sorry, another one. Yes, it's got all messed up pieces, but that's the charm of it. It's just, hey, look at this
nice.
guy.
I've told this story before, but this was when I was visiting the set of Sesame Street in 2017. We had Martin Robinson, who performs Snuffleupagus on the podcast, and he gave Dave Perillo and I a set invite. And by pure coincidence, Will Wheaton just happened to be visiting the set that day. So I can tell you, I walked in on Will Wheaton having a very, very, very emotional moment right here. He and Grover were standing in Mr. Hooper's store, and I said to my friend Dave, I got to go up and see if I can get a picture with Will and Grover. Like, as a Muppet fan and a Star Trek fan, how often do you get a chance to get a picture like that? So as I got closer, I realized I was intruding on this personal moment. Will was in tears, crying to Grover and telling Grover how he was his only friend as a child. And suddenly I'm standing behind him and I'm like, oh, I picked the wrong time.
But you got a picture.
Yes, Ann Wheaton took the picture, by the way.
I hope I'm glad that you shared that story. I hope you never ever share it again and just let people come up with their own idea on why you were standing at a store next to Will Wheaton and Grover.
Right?
Like, without the context of that story, that is a crazy picture. And it's Will Wheaton in like a Freddy Krueger sweater.
Well, the funniest part too is I got to revisit the set of Sesame Street 2 years later. And I was talking to Eric Jacobson, the puppeteer who performs Grover. And I said, oh, yeah, I was here a couple of years ago. I was here in 2017. I said, in fact, it was the day Will Wheaton was here. And Eric Jacobson said, oh, yeah, he got a little weepy.
I wonder if that happens all the time. Like, I just imagine like some of the celebrities be like, yeah, I grew up to you. Like, you were there for me when no one else was. I bet I can only imagine. Yeah,
I bet it does.
I bet it's not the first time.
The ultimate.
I bet you Big Bird's got a lot of friends. Elmo.
The ultimate bit of what could have been potentially embarrassing. I swear to God, this is true. You see, I'm wearing a sweater. It was November. It was cold out. I put a sweater on. That morning, I actually pulled my Wesley Crusher sweater out and put that on and considered wearing that. And I said, no, I'm not going to. And I didn't know he was going to be there. It would have been so embarrassing if I just walked in like, oh, hey, I'm dressed like you.
He probably would have punched you in the nose. What are the
I would have thought it
odds?
would have been photoshopped at that point. This picture cannot be real.
Oh boy.
Are we talking like the season 1 sweater with the
yeah, the rainbow stripe?
Nice.
There's a lot of those in cosplay too.
Oh boy. Actually, I was looking. I thought I had it by my computer. I don't.
But now Max talked me into putting this on because he said he'd watch the episode with me in a bit. So I saw that you were doing this. I was like, I should jump over here real quick. And be like,
yeah, it was one of those things where we finished watching the episode, and I'm like, I got to talk about this right now. Because my wife and I were so confused about the Girardi thing. We went back, we watched and we talked about this before you got here, Brian. I went and put the last 15 minutes of the season 2 finale on to see if it enlightened me any. And we last left Elnor after Q brought him back from the dead on the bridge of the Excelsior. So now we just saw the Excelsior get destroyed. I'm like, did they just kill him again?
Oh, I hope not. Rafi is going to be so sad. No,
or angry again.
No, I've been spending my entire day watching breakdowns and reviews. so that's the consensus on the breakdowns, is that it was discussed in earlier dialogue that there are 2 separate collectives.
Okay.
Again, and that was a major point of confusion for a lot of people too, because they're like, wait a minute, I thought this is it. And I think, didn't they explain something at the end of the season 2, or it was just like, we're not the collective, we're the hippy dippy collective now.
She didn't actually use those words.
But you don't have to be a Borg if you don't want to, man.
Whatever, do your own thing. We'll be
Yeah.
right.
Have a good time, bro. Just assimilation is like if you wanna, bro.
Assimilate this.
Resistance is cool.
Yeah, right. It's cool to resist, man.
We're not gonna push.
We might not come back.
We're
Yeah.
just gonna take our cube and go through a few transwarp conduits and
Right.
you come out over there.
We're gonna go to fluidic space and try not to get blown up. It's gonna be fun.
You seen Captain Janeway?
Right? Go, Kathy. Where you at?
She's got some good dope.
Can I please get a Janeway cameo? Like if there is a
There's been rumors. There's
I
Star
was,
Trek
I
god
was
somewhere.
expecting it to be in this episode. I was kind of
I would have.
surprised it wasn't.
I would have thought, she would have been where Shelby was making
No,
that.
but then she would have got shot though, man.
Well, and it worked better with Shelby anyway because she was, anti-Borg, and they pointed out the irony of that. I said,
Yeah.
I also liked how Riker got in like a dig at Shelby because they did not like each other.
Oh, dude, she was after
I
his
think they had a
job,
mutual
man.
respect, and you notice she
Yeah.
made it to Admiral, but he only made it to Captain. So I thought that was a nice little poof.
Yeah, but to be fair, he went off to a planet and
He lost
created
his
a-
son.
A
Yeah.
planet he didn't like to make pizzas he can't
Yeah.
bake.
I still want a
Riker was never really all about. He was never really all that super into career advancement, anyways. Like,
No.
he was just he was all about the adventure of it.
I
Rather
can
than
relate
like,
with him and his
Yeah.
career aspirations. Like, let the adventure take me where it takes me. I'm just
Yeah.
going to do what makes me happy.
Jonathan Frakes used to complain about that though, because like in the early seasons, he was all like, "I want to be a captain. I really want to be a captain." Then he's like, in
You're
the later
off the
seasons,
show.
the later seasons, they're like, "Oh yeah, we keep offering him the captaincy." And he's like, "I want to stay with you guys."
Then Weird Al will write a line something like, "Remember, if you're promoted, then you'll be unemployed."
Right.
I'm going to
Well,
keep coming up with musical references. You guys keep up.
Well, that's like George Takei. George Takei for years wanted Sulu to become a captain, and like Shatner was like, "Don't you realize if you become a captain, you're gone? You're not on the ship anymore.
Right.
Why would you want to write yourself out?" So
I mean, look at Harry Kim. He couldn't even get promoted on the same ship.
I think there was a lot of opportunities for advancement though, too, because
Yeah,
on
with
Voyager, because people
flying
kept getting
left and
killed.
Right. Take Seska's old job. What was she doing anyway?
Seska. So I don't know. Do we got anything else to add about this episode?
Nah. I feel like I kind
It
of
was an adventure.
nerded all over the place for a minute. It was nice.
Yeah, I enjoyed it thoroughly. Sometimes I get a little down about like the whole Borg thing because I think that like the Borg threat has kind of been overused and kind of drug out.
Yeah.
I like how they implemented it because of, again, the whole weird biological technical aspect of using the transporters to alter people's DNA, and they're assimilating them silently, and then they had like a turn on switch. All of that was fine. That was cool. Like, it felt threatening. Like, this was like the first time since like 1992 or whatever, when the Borg felt threatening. Like, oh shit, all of a sudden everyone's turning into these things. You've got a massive fleet of Starfleet, starships that are all just like converging under Borg control. I thought that was actually really, really cool. Jack wasn't in it that much, so I'm guessing he's going to play a huge role in this finale, obviously. The Enterprise D stuff was just like gold. Like, that was awesome. That's what the entire episode was all about. It was like this entire season was building up to two things. One, all of them sitting around that table, and
Yes.
two, all of them sitting on the bridge of the Enterprise D. and it was all awesome. So this was a great episode.
The last time the Borg were truly threatening was 96.
90s.
That guy right back there.
At the bottom.
Nice.
What a
I wish I
great
had my
movie.
original one from back then. I just got this one off of posters.com, but still love it.
It's the frames that get expensive.
Yeah, I need to get these framed. My nephews are getting kind of Terry.
There's still about 7 that need framing.
I'm running out of room for posters.
Yeah, I don't even have any of them on the walls at this point. I ran out of wall space.
I've got my autographed ones on the wall. Like I got my Back to the Future and Breakfast Club behind me.
The only autographs I have on my Star Trek ones are Alan Ruck and Malcolm McDowell are on my 2 Generations posters. That's it. I'd considered bringing the posters to the Star Trek cruise, but that'd be a lot of wear and tear.
Yeah.
Getting them out of the frame, getting them into the tube, getting them on the... My wife said, why don't you just buy some signed pictures if you want the signatures? But because they're only valuable. You got to pay to get all those signatures, and they're only valuable if you sell them.
Right. I've been like my Back to the Future poster. I got like almost the full cast signed it.
I'll be right back. I got some.
Oh, here's a Star Trek Back to the Future connection. Terry Metalis has 2 DeLoreans. One is like in original showroom condition, and the other is converted to a time machine.
You know, I don't fit in a DeLorean. I'm too tall.
I could see that.
It's disappointing. I've always wanted one.
I've never had the opportunity to try, but I'm definitely too tall.
Though somebody told me today that Shaq had a DeLorean custom made for him because he didn't fit in one either. So they're like,
Stretched
It's like a
DeLorean.
limo. He's basically sitting in a limo then.
It's like Hightower in Police Academy when he rips out the front seat and sits in the back.
Yeah.
I'll have to send like Shaq an email or something and say like, hey man, if you ever decide to sell your DeLorean, call me. Because I imagine he's, I don't know how tall he is, but he's got to be bigger than me.
What's
Is
he
he
got?
7 foot?
So I got this thing out.
Nice.
2012 San Francisco Star Trek convention. Let's see here. I got Michael Dorn, Brent Spiner, LeVar Burton, and Marina Sirtis.
Nicely done.
So, anywho, that's it right here. I'm never gonna get rid of it. So
Yeah, you need to frame that thing.
I know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is
Is that
banner? Trek 25.
I was gonna say it looks more like a banner than a poster. Yeah,
It's a banner.
because it's got a sewn edge.
Yeah. So I
pretty
like
cool.
it. It's pretty durable. That's why.
Yeah, it takes
had
a
for so
beating.
long. So I want to get the rest of it. Hopefully, I just need Captain Picard, Commander Riker, and Dr.
Better hurry up. They're not
know,
getting
right?
any younger.
No, time is ticking on that one.
It's the thing.
That's really going to be the big bummer about this next episode for me is like there are no more reunions after this one.
No,
Like,
it's
this is the reunion. Like, hope you enjoyed it. The next episode is the last time we're going to see these dudes together.
But you know what? I'm glad we got to see them go out like this because
too.
I don't know about you guys, but I don't like Nemesis at all. And I'm like, if Nemesis was the ending, then hey, Greg's Game Room's here. Welcome, Greg. The D is back, baby. Yeah, but no, I'm really happy that we got a proper send off for this crew because I always thought like Nemesis was the last one, and that just wasn't how I wanted to see these guys go out.
Don't be looking for any signatures either. They said they're not going to be doing that. You know, when at the end of Generations, when they had like DeForest Kelley, whoosh, Walter Koenig, whoosh, they're not going to be any signatures on this one.
I kind of liked how Kevin Feige ripped that off for Avengers Endgame. I was like, and cool. Apparently Feige,
I liked it too.
Yeah, he's apparently a Star Trek fan. That's like I think I read that's where he got it was from Star Trek 6.
I believe.
Well, I think that's how he models his television and his television and his movies. It's after that Star Trek model where you don't make your movies out of different people playing those characters, the same characters that run TV. You take those TV characters and you put them in the damn movie. You know, it's like it just makes sense. So that'd be my one critique of
This
DC.
whole third season felt very much more cinematic than anything I've ever seen before.
Oh,
Oh yeah,
without a
Music,
doubt.
lighting, the acting, the cameras, everything was. I felt like I was watching a 1-hour movie every time.
Yeah, this was definitely technically the best Star Trek show I've seen, and I like Strange New Worlds. I think that it's also a
Yeah.
really good,
There's a lot of good stuff in Strange New Worlds. Discovery has come a long way, literally, and but I thought this one was just over the top on production value.
And I was talking to my buddy Justin about the difference in, because we were talking about, used to be that actors never wanted to do television, they wanted to do movies, and there was like a big dividing line.
Yeah.
And that wall has kind of broken down because the difference in quality between TV and cinema, movies, pretty much non-existent. Like, TV shows look like movies now for the most part.
Yep.
And I remember talking about going and watching Rings of Power in the theater. They had like the first 2 episodes
Oh, really? Okay.
screened in the theater, and it was unbelievable. It was like a crazy experience watching
that
it.
was a series.
And I was joking to him. I was like, now that's something you could never do with like Star Trek TNG. You could not watch that in a theater because it would look absolutely awful. It would look awful. Especially like those crappy planets that they would go to, or they would go down to the planet that had like the village with like 2 buildings and like a fountain in the middle or something. Like that would look
Today
awful.
we're going to orange sky, green ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, last week's episode was purple sky,
Yeah.
beige background.
We moved the bundles of grass around, okay?
Right?
Yeah,
Hey, we take that rock
exactly.
and put it over there, and over there, it's Celsius 3 this week, okay?
Wasn't
Or
that
like-
the rock that was talking a couple weeks ago?
They're
Yeah, right.
talking about how amazing
Turn
Risa
around,
is, and they
it's
go
not
down to
slipping on that
Risa,
side.
and it's just like it's like a little, it looks like a disc golf course somewhere. Like the grass is really well cut, but like it's like, man, Riker's been going off about Risa for a while, and this is it. Like it would look terrible, but this season looked cinematic. Like
Oh.
you could watch that in a theater and be like, oh, this looks great. Like it had
Some of that-
all.
Some of that's around the changing technology too. I'm watching a movie starring Sean Connery and I forget the other woman's name, called Marna from 1963. And I don't know
Marnie.
what happened in the digitization process, but it's all grainy. It didn't really translate. It's like, wait, you had the original film and you digitized it, but it looks like it was shot on an 8mm camera at times. So especially when you're looking at it, on a 75-inch 4K TV, going, oh. So the technology has something to do with that too. They didn't have the same effects, they do now in terms of technology, in terms of lessons learned. S3 is a bottle show, and they didn't have much of a budget. Season 3 of TNG.
Of Picard, I think he
Oh,
means.
Picard. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know. It looks
I
really
don't-
good.
Yeah, I don't know what the budget was, but I mean, it looks better than season 1 and 2 of Picard.
And you'll have the opportunity to see it on a big screen. It's playing in IMAX. The last 2 episodes are going to play in IMAX theaters in 10 different cities. Raffi's ship was redressed into the strike.
On the inside.
Yeah. I mean, they did that back in Star Trek 2 as
The
well. I mean,
La Sirena?
uh,
They redressed the La Sirena set? Yeah, there's a common thing about redoing sets to make them look like something else. They were talking about that on a recent episode of the Delta Flyers with Garrett Wong and Robbie Duncan McNeil. They were covering a show from season 7 called it's the one with the where the doctor is abducted and made to provide healthcare, and he goes, this healthcare system is all broken because the rich people are getting treatments they don't need, and the people who need the health for the same medication aren't getting it. Well, that's because they're not highly ranked citizens. Well, if you don't cure them, they'll never become highly ranked citizens. But they were talking about that. They said that the office of this was just like the mess hall redressed. So there's a long-standing tradition of repurposing set content.
Yeah, the Reliant, Star Trek 2, the Reliant and the Enterprise were the same.
Oh
bridge-
yeah,
bridge
they
set.
just let's put the cells on the bottom. Turn
Yeah,
it's like that was pretty crafty when you think about it, because that's something that might actually be done in real life. You take the parts you've got because you're already manufacturing nacelles like that for umpteen other ships. Why not come up with a new design? I don't know why they needed that specific design for the Reliant, but yeah, that's pretty cool.
yeah, but they were on it was the same bridge set. Like when Kirk and Montalban, they were literally on the same set looking at each other like so yeah. Greg, I sent you the link if you wanted to join us. I sent it to you on Messenger, but
Actually, I'm gonna have to dip out, man. I gotta get back over to the Max stream.
yeah,
I'm gonna make him watch this episode because he made me watch. So yeah, I'll see you guys later. Thank you, Joe.
Later.
yeah,
I'm gonna
thanks for
bounce
coming
too.
by, Brian. And I think I'm gonna end the stream anyway, actually, because I think we've
for me.
dissected this episode as much as we can. But thanks for joining us, Devin.
Oh, no worries.
Yeah,
It was
thanks.
great. It was good meeting you too, Chuck.
Take care.
Later.
So Greg says no budget means you have to get creative with the story. That's true. That's true. And some of the best episodes of the series were the bottle shows. Like what was the one where there was that episode where everybody kept disappearing? With except Crusher. That was a good one.
Oh, with the universe kept shrinking.
Yeah, and never left the ship. So you get some good ones like that. Data's Day. That's one of the all-time classics. So.
Yep.
Well, yeah, I'm excited, and thank God Brian explained it. I think I'm gonna have to go back and look up Shaw's.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I missed that one.
I'll take that to our show next week.
All right, everybody. Be sure and subscribe to The Topic is Trek, wherever you get your podcasts. You can hear Chuck and Craig Stepp and Clinton Alvord dissect each and every episode of these
In
series.
excruciating detail.
No, before I let you go, Chuck, what's going on? You every time Clinton mentions you guys are going to go back to doing Enterprise, you're like, oh no, well, you hate Enterprise?
Part of the shtick. It's part of the shtick. It's like, Star Trek V, The Final Frontier. It's like,
I love Enterprise, especially season 3 and 4.
That's been my in-between show right now. It's like,
Right.
I'm slowly cruising through that. You getting through the Xindi thing, and they found the weapon, blah, blah, blah. So there is a story arc in the later seasons, just like, Deep Space Nine had its maturity, so I mean, I don't hate it. It's just, it's not my favorite, but I do enjoy it.
Yeah, and Greg, that's what Brian said. He said that I got to go back and rewatch the speech by Shaw again. Yeah, Shaw, we're gonna miss you. So, all right, everybody, go subscribe to The Topic is Trek. You'll hear Chuck and his cohorts break down all these episodes, and of course, Technorama.
# Shaw dies.
Are we washing this? Alan,
a little late.
Alan Tudyk, man, that guy's have you been watching his new show on Sci-Fi Channel, Resident Alien?
No, I've seen him in other shows, though. He always does a magnificent job.
Resident Alien is absolutely hilarious. It's on break now between seasons, but he's an alien who came to Earth to destroy us. And everybody sees him as a human except one boy. There's one little boy who could see him as an alien. So he spent most of the first season trying to kill this kid because the kid was the only one who knew he was an alien. It's absolutely hilarious. Like every time ET gets mentioned, Alan Tudyk goes on about how attractive ET is. Like, oh, ET is so hot with his bulbous body. Oh, he is so sexy.
Look into it.
Wait, what's this? Are you watching the Shuttle Pod show? I am not watching the Shuttle Pod show. Is that a YouTube show? Greg, you got to give me the details on this one. I want to.
Shaw lives. When we were on the cruise, Todd Stashwick was saying, # Shaw was right.
All right, everybody. Keep wearing those pajamas. Have a great day. because it was what we do, the binary high five 101. We'll do it all. What's
Don't
what's
put
your-
on the red shirt.
don't put on the red shirt. If you don't get this stuff, you gotta subscribe to Technorama.
Yeah, we keep cutting our own shows.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Have a good
Okay.
night.
Take care.